Time is running out for you to help decide the future of what your family eats.
Talk about genetically modified foods. Okay, you're right. We should talk about genetically modified foods. And again, this is a conspiracy of both parties.
The very process of genetic engineering creates unpredicted side effects.
Genetically modified organisms, GMOs, pose unparalleled threats. Nothing like them has ever existed in the entire course of life on this planet.
Genetic engineering is a process where scientists take genes from one species and force them into the DNA of another species.
And for the food we eat, there's two main categories. The herbicide-tolerant crops, you can spray them with herbicide and not kill them, or the pesticide-producing crops that produce their own toxic insecticide that if a bug bites those plants, it breaks open the stomach and kills them. So they're completely swapping genes between the normal species barriers, creating new organisms that were not part of the evolutionary process. A gene and make millions of copies, and then put them in a gun, literally, and then shoot that gun into a plate of millions of cells. And then you clone those cells into a plant.
Typically what they will put onto that is a virus or a part of a virus in order to turn that gene on.
Now the process of insertion plus cloning creates massive collateral damage. There's a soil bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT. And if you take that bacteria and gather it up and use it as a spray, the BT toxin produced by the bacteria will kill insects. So engineers take the gene that produces the toxin and insert it into corn and cotton and allow the plants to do the killing.
Every single cell within that plant is producing a toxic protein.
BT is designed to break open the stomach of insects and kill them. So when the doctors hear about this, that BT corn was introduced into our diet in the mid-90s, they say this may explain the increase in gastrointestinal problems that they're seeing in their practice. In the case of Roundup Ready soy, we see a lot of serious problems. Soon after the GM soy was introduced to the UK, soy allergies skyrocketed by 50%. We know that there are many reasons why GM soy might be associated with higher levels of allergies. In fact, a skin prick test shows that some people can react to the GM soy, but not to a wild variety of soy. And they also found a new protein that had allergenic properties that was in the GM soy, but not the wild variety. There's only been one human feeding study on genetically modified foods. And they found that part of the gene inserted into soybeans that make the soybeans Roundup Ready transferred into the DNA of bacteria living inside our intestines and stayed there. Furthermore, that bacteria was not killable with Roundup, suggesting that the gene remained active. This means long after we stop eating genetically modified foods, we may still have these genetically modified proteins produced continuously inside of us. They never checked to see if the BT toxin gene transferred from, say, corn chips into our gut bacteria and continued to function. If it does, it might turn our intestinal flora into living pesticide factories. This might explain why 93% of pregnant women tested in Canada had the BT toxin in their blood, as well as in the blood of 80% of their unborn fetuses.
Some scientists say that the BT toxin causes the intestine to become permeable or leaky, which causes the foods to be presented in our blood in a premature fashion.
From premature aging and Alzheimer's to Parkinson's to autism to cancer to asthma, there is no part of the spectrum because we start the same as if you buy a brand new car and it says on that it's meant to run on gas and you go put diesel in it, you could expect it won't go very far. So when you put the wrong fuel into your body, and by making your intestine leaky, we are permitting building blocks to go into our body that are the wrong fuel. They have not been adequately prepared by our digestive processes and by the simple fact that the healthy flora in our body converts our food to active things.
Just in the last 5 years have been shown that all higher plants and animals are far, far more complex than ever was believed. And so it turns out that in the splicing process that mutations occur. and can cause immune system problems. And this has been the biggest problem and has been shown a number of times.
An immune response is a reaction to something that's foreign that the body doesn't recognize and tries to push out. By definition, genetically modified foods have something foreign.
They don't even want to label that this is genetically modified. The milk is genetically modified, or the crop is genetically modified. They say, if we label that, we won't be able to sell it because people won't buy it. Of course, people won't buy it because people don't want it.
The reason why we have 170 million acres of genetically engineered corn and soybeans and cotton and canola oil and sugar beets in the United States is because it doesn't have to be labeled. In the European Union, where labeling is required, there's almost no genetically engineered food on store shelves, in restaurants. There's almost none of it planted.
Today, more than 50 countries around the world allow labeling of genetically engineered foods.
70% corn and soy grown just in the United States comes from seeds whose DNA has been rejiggered, and those two crops play starring roles in countless processed foods, from soda to salad to bread.
People always ask me, can we reverse the damage from eating a genetically modified diet? Well, mice in an Italian study give us some hope. They were fed genetically modified soy for 8 months and showed damage to their livers, pancreas, and testicles. But when they were put on a non-GM soy diet for the next month, a lot of the problems reversed.
When we teach doctors in this country and other countries about the importance of diet, one of the key factors that we teach is avoid all GMO foods.
One thing that's consistent in every single patient is removal of GMO.
We have to somehow or other educate the public so that they understand that they have a choice. They don't have to eat genetically engineered.
This impacts everything and everyone. It's not just an agriculture issue, it's not just a food industry issue, it's an ever-living creature issue.
It's the most dangerous thing facing human beings in our generation.
Should you be concerned? I should think you'd be scared silly. Not only for your children, but for you. Why do you think so many people are sick now?
How can you stop eating GMOs? Look for labels on food that say 100% organic or have a sticker that represents the non-GMO project.